In this Soulframe Beginner's Guide, I'm gonna show you, step by step, how to get new equipment quick and easy. But not just that, I will also go over where to find every single weapon in the game so you can get them all for yourself. As always, everything discussed in this video is up to date as of Soulframe Preludes 10. Check the pinned comment under the video for eventual changes, and with all that being said, let's jump right into it. First of all, let's talk about how you can get your greedy little fingers on new equipment in general. If you want to have new weapons or armor, right now in the game there is only one way to obtain it, and that is by crafting them. I'm sure in the future there will also be a premium shop where you can buy it for the real money currency, but as of right now, that is not yet implemented, so crafting it is. In order to craft new weapons and armor, you will first have to go into your Nightfold and then talk to Tuvalkane the Blacksmith, as she is the one who can craft all those beautiful things for you. Now, what do you do if Tuvalkane simply is not present in your Nightfold? Well, that's actually pretty easy, and I would recommend unlocking her as soon as possible after starting the game. All you need to do for that is go to this location right here on the map, where you will find an iron helmet, this helmet right here to be more precise, surrounded by a bunch of enemies. First, clear out the enemies, and then pick up the helmet, after which the game will give you a nearby waypoint to which you need to carry the helmet, and after that's done, Tuvalkane will show up in your Nightfold and you can go talk to her. As you can see right here, the crafting menu lists all the items that you know, and they're subdivided into 3 sections. The top one lists all the items that you can craft right away. The second one are those items that you could craft but you don't yet have all the resources required for it. And then the lowest section lists items that you currently can't craft, which is usually for one of 2 reasons. The first one is that your Tuvalkane level is currently not high enough to be able to manufacture this specific item. You can see your Tuvalkane level in the top left corner when you're talking to her. Right now, the maximum possible is level 3, so once you have that up to 3, you can craft everything in the game. And leveling up your Tuvalkane is actually very easy. All you gotta do is just craft the items that you currently can craft, and then her level will go up very quickly. That's usually not too big of an issue. What's much more likely is the second reason for why you can't craft these things down here, and that is that you don't yet have all the fragments that you need to make that specific item piece. Let me explain. Every type of gear in Soulframe, whether that be weapons or armor pieces, needs you to first find a set number of fragments of that item in order to then be able to craft it with Tuvalkane. The menu down here will show you how many fragments you already have and how many you need in total, and only when you have all the fragments and resources required to craft the item will you actually be able to click Craft. If you've ever played Warframe, fragments are essentially the same thing as blueprints there. Now, you might be wondering, where do I get all those fragments? And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in the second part of the video. Just very quickly, one more thing. Once you start crafting an item, the item will not be instantly finished. You will have to wait between 4 and 24 hours in real time until that new gear piece is finally finished and you can pick it up from Tuvalkane. This crafting time can instantly be skipped by paying the premium currency to speed it up. However, as of right now, there is no shop implemented yet, so you can't even buy the currency right now, which is why I would personally recommend do not spend your premium currency just yet. Rather, save it up in case you might need it later. However, once the crafting time is over, you can go to Tuvalkane and pick up your brand new gear piece, which will then instantly be stored in your inventory. You can also see it in your inventory screen right here. However, there is one more thing to keep in mind. In Soulframe, your inventory is not infinite. As of right now, every player can hold up to 22 weapons in their inventory by default, and if you want to craft more, then you will have to use your premium currency to buy further weapon inventory slots. That, by the way, is also a feature for packs, so you can also not store as many packs as you want to. And in order to get those inventory slots, what you need to do is go to your main tent in the Nightfold, and then you can take your premium currency to buy these inventory slots. And now like the video or I'm gonna fill up your entire inventory with useless starting weapons. Cheers so much for your support. But now that you know how the entire crafting system works, let's go over where exactly you can find the fragments for each and every weapon in the entire game. Starting out with the Wolder Sword, the Thistle Bow or the Gwylan Magic Stick, These are the 3 beginner weapons. Depending on which pack you chose when creating your character, you will start out with the corresponding one of these by default, but for whatever reason, I personally happen to have all 3 of them in my inventory right at the start already. I don't know if that's a thing with Preludes 10 or if that's about to change in the future, but in case you don't have them, the fragments for the Gwyland can be acquired by finishing Tales either for the King of Flames or the Silent Rose. The Wolder comes from finishing Tales for the Silent Rose or the Children of Alka, and the Thistle can be obtained from chests in the overworld. Up next, let's go over the rest of the weapons in alphabetical order, starting out with the Blitzel Bow, where the fragments can be dropped from high-level archers. The wiki says archers near Fort Curtail are a good source for those fragments, but I personally haven't tested it myself. The Bog and Myrtle Sword and Shield can either be obtained by opening chests in the overworld, or alternatively, as a reward for Slay the Banneret in the Undercity type tales that end up in the Durmak Undercity tile set. My personal recommendation, just go for the open world chests, it's gonna be much less of a hassle. Next, the Duke Hullik Polearm, the signature weapon of Nimrod. This one is actually very straightforward. Either you can get it, guess what, as a drop from Nimrod himself, but what is much easier and more consistent would be, once you cleanse all the world trees in the open world, which I personally would recommend to do as early as possible so you have the full map, once you unveil the entire map, you will just get it for free. Let's now talk about the Gathanan Polearm, which can be acquired, as of Preludes 10, from rare chests in the Glades tile set. The Grin Shortblade fragments come from defeating Ode enemies and opening rare Ode chests in the open world. The Ainmora, the best and most unique longsword in the game, can either be acquired by reaching the max syndicate level with the King of Flames, and then you can buy fragments for standing with him. That takes quite some time though, so I would personally recommend just open legendary chests either in the open world or in dungeons, because from my own experience I can tell you I've received enough fragments for the Ainmora this way to craft it 3 times before even reaching max level with the Syndicate. Up next, the Juniper Bow, which has quite the unique way of obtaining it. See, the Juniper has 3 fragments and you have to find all of them in the open worlds. This right here is a map with the locations, and in the background right now, you will see in-game footage on how it looks at the exact locations in the game. Next, the Nettle Shortblade can be acquired by defeating Ode caster enemies and ranged hunter type enemies. The Odiac is very simple, you just get it by taking out enemies, no matter which enemies, no matter where, just go on a killing spree and eventually you're gonna have it. The Prickly Shortblade can also be acquired from the Odecaster and ranged hunter type enemies. The Orion Umber, I hope I didn't butcher that name all too much, can be acquired from opening rare chests, from doing faction quests in the north part of the map, and it will also drop when you defeat Nimrod in the corresponding quest. Next, the Rift 2 can be found in chests in the overworld. The Rook Polearm is dropped by the Stag boss, or alternatively, you can buy fragments for 2000 standing with the Silent Rose faction. I personally wouldn't recommend that, the Stag drops this quite frequently. The Skilter comes from rare dungeon chests, or also by defeating the aforementioned Odecaster and ranged hunter enemies. The Solace One Longsword can either be acquired by finishing Syndicate missions or by opening rare chests in the overworld. The Royal Tines can be obtained by completing the Torment Stag Fable. The Unsula comes from Ode chests in the overworld, which, according to the wiki, might be a bit more common in the northern area of the map. The Vasp 4 Polearm is pretty easy to get. You can either get it from Sinecure mercenary type enemies, you find it in chests in the open world, or you can also get it as rewards for any type of faction activity. The Vetch comes from legendary chests, or also by the Slay the Banneret in the Undercity type faction tales, which I wouldn't recommend because those tales suck, so just open up some quests and that is it. And then finally the Verdigris, either opening rare dungeon chests or defeating the aforementioned Odecaster type or ranged hunter enemies. Dang, those guys drop a lot. Now, that will be the whole list. However, I do want to mention here, the research that I did on those drop locations was on the Fextralife Soulframe wiki version. I'm not 100% sure if all of this is precisely up to date. If not, let me know in the comments down below so I can correct it. However, most of what I just said matches up pretty well with my own experience while playing the game. And what about all the armor locations in the game, I hear you ask? Well, about armor, I don't want to get into it in this video right here, as I want to make a dedicated video about armor in specific, and then in that video, we're going to talk about where to get the armor pieces. By the way, if you don't want to miss that day one, you might as well consider maybe leaving the channel a sub. Welcome to the crew. And if you want to know how to level up your new weapons as fast as possible, then check out this guide here next. We see each other, hopefully in the next one, and until then, as always, good loot.